for them, then we can go from there. So maybe what we can do is you can contact my office. I can get more detail from where you're looking. I can put together that information, get it back to you, and that's something you can then present to the Board of Police Commissioners on the request. They can then make a determination if they want me to send that letter to the Department of Transportation. And I can assist you with that. Yeah.
So on the Hartford, right?
It depends what department that's receiving. But we would make that request. But I think you need more information, and I'd be more than happy to help you gather that if you're going for that. And then you can come back one more time with all the information in hand, and then we'll give them a better idea. Yes, sir. Yeah. So what I'll do is, I'll give you my card with the information. Okay. The information. And we'll just contact my secretary at the number when you call, and then I'll talk to you directly. Thank you, Mr. Tillman.
Change correspondence.
Okay.
Under new business, the Mystic Irish Parade. How are you? Can you state your name?
Thomas Favorite, Zero.
And you're looking for approval for this year's Mystic Irish Parade?
That's right.
Do you have any changes this year?
No.
Commissioners, any comments? Looking for approval of the vote for the Mystic Irish Parade that I made to for another year?
We've actually had one meeting and still it is a large impact. Like these events are very well organized in their event. They get everything to us when we move it forward. Any changes we've already asked, we've already discussed. So very comfortable and appreciate it from you guys.
Good deal. And Leo, I'm going to fly the chair at the Berkshire Hathaway, so it's our first time in the game. So we're looking for decent things. I don't know. Let's see. Anything else?
Any big headliner that would be a big draw? You don't have to announce it, but is there anything that would be?
Not yet.
Can you let us know? We've taken some other additional steps based on the size of the parade, how big it's been getting. So we'll just share it offline and share it with you.
Anything changes, we'll definitely change.
Yeah, and we'll let you know when we are doing changes.
Commissioners, any comments?
Thank you very much.
Can I have a motion for some? Second? All those in favor? Thank you very much for coming down.
Thank you. Thank you for spending time doing it. We appreciate it.
Let's see, do we have representation this evening for the Mystic Half Marathon?
No, we were not able to make it. They did contact me. They said there were 0 changes from last year. They're an amazing group to work with. Anything we ask them to do, they do. So I reviewed the whole thing with the chief and the captain, and we don't really have any concerns. There may be a concern next year when Perkins Farm opens up their additional construction. And that might be a little bit of an issue, but we'll address that when we get there. But as of now, it should not be an issue.
Captain, you're all set with that?
Yes.
There's no other, yeah, I think that.
No changes.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any comments? Can I have a motion to approve the Mystic Half Marathon for this year? Second? All in favor? We also have any representation of the Good Friday.
We couldn't make it, we couldn't get it for the application aspect of it, it's low impact for us. 43rd annual Good Friday Walk, Friday the 29th March, 2023, 7 a.m. to noon, Mystic Congregational Church, the old Mystic Methodist Church, and back, using State Highway Route 1 and 27. Walk speed will be abide by all the traffic laws and road closures or detours needed. So they can use the State Highway program that all Natalie assures me that they're on track. She had to help a lot to get them there, but they're there, and we haven't had much of an impact.
No, the only thing that we do is we normally have a reserve officer up at the flagpole to get the larger groups to go across that crosswalk at the flagpole, just to go into Groton, that's it, but it's a sidewalk.
Make a motion to approve the Good Friday walk. Second. All in favor? Opposed? All right, do we have representation from Maple Lane Farms?
One?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. There is a Maple Lane, that's why I sometimes get their bills. Maybe they get some of mine. Chief, glad to be back.
Welcome back.
Four times the charm. From my perspective, there's only one change since the last time we were here, and that's a new parking layout, about the same number of cars. But the prior amendment, the text amendment, had all the same information in it. And with the exception of some more utilities being added, we ran a 350-foot well line to the area of the tent, the event area. So there's plenty of water there with a new 500-foot well feeding just that and the agriculture. So there's safety built into that being there. And more work on the road itself, which gives both the fire department and the police department a place for parking official vehicles without interfering with any of the traffic, when most of the people will be. Another thing, I don't think we've mentioned this in the past, but for 13 years, we've held a fundraiser for war orphans and first responders, children. And we've had upwards of 200 people attend annually. And the most recent one, we raised another $20,000 for that. So we're approaching $200,000 over the last 13 years for that. My point is, I don't think anyone has ever had an issue with traffic or noise, or at least nothing been reported to us. And it happens every fall. So I don't think there's going to be any events holding more than 200 people to begin with. So I think the place is pretty well prepared to handle the flow. So with that, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Any additional comments on that?
No, you've been very responsive to everything that we've asked. Appreciate the access to the property, so the deputy chief can be down there and see everything. And again, very responsive, very appreciative of it. So thank you.
Well, same here. We got a really concept.
And I think the investment of the property is spectacular.
Thank you.
If you eventually go along that route, it's just amazing what you've done there.
You remember what it looked like 25 years ago?
I did.
Everybody said burn it.
Yeah. Any other commissioners have any comments about the project? Thank you again. The planning and zoning special use permit for the Puff Cup Farms at 455 Liberty Street.
Hello. Hi. For those who don't know, I'm Sam Casey, I'm with the law firm of Robinson & Cole. We represent the applicant RCP Waterford 2 and Coastal 3. This is a bit of a, I'll say a bit of a transformative project, but it's a transformative project at the old movie theater on Route 2, which has been vacant for a little while now after COVID. The proposal is to turn it into multifamily housing and recreational center. Turn the movie theater into a recreational center that's going to be focused on pickleball. This has to go through the neighborhood design district process under the zoning regs. So this is our master plan application. We have to get the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve our master plan, which sort of lays out the site in general, not in detail. We have to go back for a site plan, which will have all the details that you might be familiar with, more details about landscaping, things like that. We have to go back to the Architectural Design Review Board. We got their approval for the master plan on Monday. So we kind of have to go through this twice, but because there's a lot more work to go into the site plan, we want to that, I'm not gonna, I think we'll go Lily here, I'll turn it over, I think, to Jeremy, sure, okay. From Trio Properties, also here tonight is, Mike Leach, who's from Rico, some of you might know him. And if it is, okay. I mean, I think my contract is busy, we're all able to sit together. So we just need a minute to.
The engineer is stuck in traffic, he's not in the so I'll just hold up. We'll do it in the old town right here. While we're doing this, I can give a high level overview of the project that as John just said. This is the Pawcatuck Farm site on Route 2, right off 95. There's a vacant movie theater currently, McDonald's, and then obviously anchored by Stop and Shop. So this proposal aims to develop 124 units of market rate apartment housing with 10,000 square feet of additional commercial space on the ground floor of one of the buildings. That's where the bank that's there now currently, Berkshire Bank, will be relocated into that commercial space, and we have some additional commercial space that we plan on filling. And then, as John alluded to, the movie theater is going to be repurposed to a pickleball centric facility that we believe will be operated by the YMCA. The local Y will manage and run that facility. There will also be a fitness center component and quite possibly a child daycare component. So another evolution of their program regionally at that site. Folks will access the YMCA pickleball facility from Voluntown Road, so they'll turn in as if they're going to Stop and Shop and go out into the property. Multi-family, again, I apologize for not having a civil thing here, but those main apartment buildings you see here, this is the view from Route 2, so there'll be 2 buildings along Route 2, and then 2 others will be on what is today the parking lots for the movie theater. So from a density standpoint, they fit in the site quite nicely. Traffic overall is reduced from the kind of bulk traffic flow you see with a movie theater. And we believe the housing is hopefully a welcome addition to that's kind of it. Happy to answer if you want to speak about the traffic.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit. So we have a full traffic passing analysis. It's underway right now. We did prepare a preliminary letter at the due diligence, looking at the increase in traffic you might expect from the existing use to the proposed use. As mentioned, generally goes down, especially the evening and Saturday peak periods. You don't have that big movie theater there. We did see an increase in the morning, like commuter morning peak period. So we're evaluating that to see if there's any delay impacts or anything like that in the adjacent roadways. But I also did take a quick look at the crash history in the area, and only of all the crashes in a 5-year period, only about 16% were during that AM peak hour. So I saw that as positive, since that's when we're increasing traffic, honestly. So we'll have the full results of that. Results of my study when we get to public. So I can answer any questions now.
Maybe we should just say, so if you're familiar with the site, there's an internal road that goes between the movie theater side and the Stop and Shop side. And those are signalized on Voluntown Road and Liberty Street. Those will remain, those will be the main access to the site. Those will stay the same. When you're on Liberty Street, if you're coming north, there's currently a right-hand only turn into where the bank building is. That will remain. That will lead to the mixed-use building, which is going to be close to the McDonald's. And then there'll be another right-hand only turn into the first building, which is a residential building at the southwest corner of the property. So once, the southern corner of it on Liberty Street. And the purpose, I'm not traffic people, is to get some of that residential, the residents into the site faster instead of having to go all the way up to the signalized intersection. So
And it doesn't have any exits. And we don't have any exits, yep, so only exits, there's two signalized driveways, the ones near the McDonald's there, and then the other ones where the Stop and Shop is. And then the internal road.
So you're just gonna add a right turn lane
An entrance lane on
between
Right into the side.
Route 49 and the McDonald's.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct, yep, kind of at the southernmost corner of our property, we'll turn into that first residential building, which, as John alluded to, that'll get the residents, they'll have their own entrance basically, and then folks that are utilizing the bank to get a commercial space will go in through the existing right-hand.
Okay, and we're not adding any left turns except at the lights, so.
No, those are already signalized. And we don't have any, the plans are all stuff in traffic. It's terrible thing. But, yeah. We also, I think we would expect the two buildings that are internal, they'll use the signalized, expect those to use the signalized.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, that would be the best option.
So, that's the general plan, as I said, for the master plan, what the P and Z is gonna look at is sort of just the overall idea, the concept of it, all the numbers, so we kind of we propose what our setbacks are gonna be. The density is controlled by the regs, but like height of buildings, coverage, all things like that we say this is how we'd like to do it, and if they agree, they pass the site plan there. I mean, there are standards we have to follow, and I think we complied with those. As I told the ABRB, we're probably like 50-60% there to actually do, finalizing the site plan, because you gotta do enough work to make sure it works. And Michael has to do the work to make sure it works from a, financial side of things. So, a lot is coming into this, but we still are at that point. You will get referred the site plan, assuming the master plan is approved, and so we'll go back again. I don't know that it will change, although we'll have a more detailed traffic study at that time for the site plan.
And we'll have an actual site plan.
Hopefully the site engineers.
Are these, John, are these condos or these rentals?
These are rental units, market rate rental apartments. So and the mix is,
We have studios, ones, twos, and a handful of threes, so a pretty broad range of units.
and even within the one bedroom size, the standard one bedroom, different size, the junior,
One with a den and all sorts of things, so it's a pretty broad.
And the parking, is it all exterior parking or is there some buildings where?
A great question. The three of the main buildings have some integral garage parking, so about 11 garages directly into the building. And then we also have 4 detached garage buildings, which kind of look like long barns with eight bays per. So the folks will have an opportunity to rent either, or they can just surface park if they prefer.
We took a look at the parking demand based on the proposed use.
Are these sidewalks existing or are those sidewalks existing currently?
The sidewalk is on Route 2, right?
Both, but not both on both streets. We built those. I think I'm the only one that's ever walked on.
it is sort of it's an island right now, So, but we hope, we'll do a little more activity with it. You can see in this rendering, if you know in the background, one of the attached garages and the garage doors on the building. So this is if you just passed the McDonald's and you're on Liberty Street going south, this is what you would see. So this is actually the existing right-hand only turn into the spot, and the other right-hand only turn would be for this entrance.
I have a question about that. Sir, I have a question about that.
It's public comment, yeah.
So here it is, voila, in plan. Here's the theater building that'll be repurposed into the pickleball center. As I said, you turn it off Town and then come in and actually enter the building this way. These are the 3 proposed apartment buildings that have the drive-in garages. You can kind of see those. And then this is the mixed-use building with 10,000 square feet of ground floor retail facing Route 2 and 60 units above. So this is the existing turn-in John was referencing, and this is the additional turn-in we're proposing exclusively for residents. But as John said, so we sort of have a main boulevard through the property, and that's where the front of these buildings are oriented. And most of the folks, we believe, will go out to Pawcatuck Farms Road, the internal road, to either get to Voluntown or out to Route 2 and obviously onto 95.
That's the McDonald's down there, and that's the stuff.
Is that road where you would envision sort of bus pickup and stuff like that for residents in the neighborhood? Or?
Along with
I would picture that they, because this is an internal road, it's not that, I'd assume that they would pick up here and we'd have some area for, you know.
Start with the school buses.
But I mean, that's up to the school district.
Right.
Sure.
Do you have a lot of internal space for the school buses?
Yeah, certainly.
Would be concerned. And how many total spaces are you looking for parking for residents? Like, what? Do you have that number?
I have to.
You just said it was more than enough. I'm just curious what the number is.
We're at about 2 per unit.
I had
a little less.
What you're talking about?
Correct me, I mean, I had 445 total, including the residential and the pickleball and the whole site, 445. Does that sound right to you?
Yes. But again, the ratio for residential is not great.
Yeah, yeah, so.
And except garages too, it's two.
Not all.
But that's two excluding the garages.
So that's 2 including the garage.
And that's not any of the parking that is being used for the pickleball.
For the Y or.
Yeah, they're all the parking stuff.
Yeah, within, not this sheet, but the other sheet has the zoning table breakdown of existing versus proposed. And in each category, residential, community use, and then commercial, we are providing more spaces than what would be required by the code. So, collectively, we have more spaces than required, and individually, we have more spaces than required. So we think we'll be in good shape. And I think your report reflects on sort of those peak times of when the parking would be needed, and we gives us even a little more capacity.
Yeah, we looked at, you know, there's town code and then there's what we believe is actual demand based on, you know, research published by the IT.
The parking table has 34 extra. It shows 427 spaces, and what the required is 393.
So for the rec center, that wouldn't intrude on Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop completely separate. You know, none of the spaces for Stop and Shop are part of our counts, nor the McDonald's. They have their own spaces today, and we're not touching any of those or assuming we're going to share any of that parking.
And the fire chief and Pawcatuck, we had any discussion?
I met with Kevin and a couple other folks at their firehouse and got their commentary, and they written in a letter to P&Z saying that they don't have any comments or concerns.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Chief, you okay? All right, thank you.
So just the P&Z hearing opens next Tuesday. So you guys, you vote later than we get, or?
That's just for, this is just, yeah, the comments get sent to, for the, in reference to the master plan.
Yeah.
Get sent to zoning, just so they're aware that whether they see an issue or not.
Okay.
Which we won't bother.
You'll vote later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving to old business. The revised plans for 250 Letters Street. Beachway Estates.
Evening. For the records review, Renzi, and the Associates, office at 99 Mechanic Street, Pawcatuck, Connecticut. With me here this evening is Mr. Arganese, Gene Arganese, who was the principal of the ownership of the property, Fair Housing, Connecticut So Mike Neon from BL Companies is our traffic engineer. The reason we're back tonight is we've made some revisions to the plan based on some commentary we've received. We have been to Planning and Zoning Commission for one meeting. We've obviously been here, we've been to Architectural Review Board, and we've made some modifications to the site plan based on some commentary that we've received from those meetings, as well as some comments from town staff. So the plan that's been submitted to you for review recently shows that revised layout. I'll go over some of those things now. By and large, the layout hasn't changed significantly except for the reduction in the number of units. We had 113 units. We've reduced it by 11 units, around 102. That's about around a 10% decrease in the density from what was previously proposed. I'll bring your attention to what the significant changes have been. Mostly is at the southerly portion of the property. There used to be a cluster of units down what we would consider the type A units, the ones that are more boxy. And there was a driveway that went down into here, double loaded with some units. These, what we call type B units, were actually shifted over in this direction to accommodate that portion of the development. Now that that has been taken out, we've consolidated the type A units on this row, on the easterly side, and then give a little more breathing room to the type A units. The A units are the ones that are accessible from grade, have bedrooms on the first floor, and parking outside. The rest of the units have the parking interior. Those have not changed. The size hasn't changed. And generally, the number in the rows has not changed, with the exception of these internal four rows. We took one unit off of each row to give ourselves a little bit more space in front. You can see we've allocated some additional parking perpendicular. Before we had some pretty tight parallel parking on the property line. This now is perpendicular parking. The drive aisles are still the same width between buildings, and a minimum of 24 feet elsewhere. Between the buildings, we still have that 36 feet. And I think even better, some areas 41 feet down in here. As such, I think accessibility, pedestrian accessibility, was a pretty significant concern last time we were here. We've added, I don't know if we had it in the previous one, but we have walkways that run behind all the buildings, internal and to the north. The ones along the east and the southerly perimeter don't have the same, but can still utilize those walkways and have the ability to walk behind their buildings. And I'll bring attention to the southerly portion where we removed those buildings. We opened up a significant amount of open green space that can be programmed. We don't have a plan for that. It could be courts, it could be picnic tables, barbecues. So we really want to leave that flexible for the owners of this housing complex, and could be a multitude of things that could be used for. We're also keeping this area up in the northeast corner open for also program space. Keep noting that this is closer to the road, maybe not desirable for children. We'll put fences up and landscaping along the road, but we also have this space that can be programmed with like a playscape. So that gets us access over to Liberty Street. I'll also bring your attention to that we've added a sidewalk along Liberty Street and a bus turnoff, about 150 feet bus turnoff. One of the questions or concerns was, where are people going to go? Well, they can walk to the sidewalk, although it's not sidewalk to nowhere right now. Maybe in years to come, just like on Route 2 Liberty Street, there might be some sidewalks that connect to it. But it does get you to the road, and you can actually use this sidewalk to get down to the green space. It's a safe passage with a raised sidewalk along Liberty Street. Once again, those are things that we're going to have to work with DOT on. We hope that they're amenable and open to this concept, but once we get all the details worked out on this, because this also affords us a little bit more area to work on stormwater comments with our town engineer. separating our pavement, from our roof runoff is important in this area because we need to get extra treatment for the pavement, because we are not for protection area. Not sure it's, as a much concern for the police commission, but that's part of the reasoning of some of the other changes that we've made. But we tried to make sure we focus on a little bit more accessibility, a little more breathing room, on, and giving a little more green space and some safety for people walking through the site. We still have the paved aprons that are going to be stamped asphalt. As we had noted, we can make those different colors and to note the different the break in the pavement and in that visual. We still are allowing for the parking in front of the units, but we do have a little bit more flexibility with guest parking. Given there's we have 16 spaces over here, so there is some additional parking on the site that we could afford by flipping that parking into a perpendicular manner and affording more space by losing the units at the one unit on each one of the 4 rows in the middle of the site. I do have a landscape plan to kind of give you an idea of what the green space will look like throughout the site. A little bit more of a color rendering than my more black and white plan, but you can see we've shown some more street trees to give some more streetscape feel. The open space along the back portion of it is going to be dedicated to a stormwater overflow. I think we can tighten that up though, and really accentuate this space and then the space up in the northeast corner. The landscape architect was allowed to get a little bit more landscaping and some additional street trees and some other landscaping, but as you know, that space is at a premium given all the underground utilities that we need to get in. So it is difficult to program with the landscaping, but we're putting in the greatest extent as we can on that. As I mentioned, Mike is here if there's any traffic related concerns. We feel that the sidewalk is an appropriate and an improvement to the amenity of the plan, both something that I believe the town is in favor of, adding sidewalks to this area on Route 2, and hopefully they'll connect one day. And I feel that the bus turnoff, if we can get DOT to agree to something like that, would be a good amenity for Uber pickups, school bus getting off the road. I mean, I've traveled on Liberty Street, and if you're coming on Liberty Street, and when school is out, the school buses stop right in Liberty Street to let kids out, and they stop traffic in Liberty Street to let kids out in the area, in their respective homes in the streets in the vicinity. So we hope that this might be an amenity that might be favorable. I'm happy to answer any questions on the revised plan. We're still working through the details of our site civil grading and drainage and all that. So I don't anticipate this plan is going to change too much from what you see here tonight. We're really trying to get this finalized, but we're not going to be going forward on Tuesday night. We're going to be moving our next meeting to the January meeting to give us a little more time to work with staff on getting their review. So with that, if you have any questions for me or Mike or Gene is here as well.
Questions?
I have a question. I know you're gonna put the sidewalk on there too. Are you putting in any, you alluded to sidewalks within the development?
They're walkways. It's not, so they're, I usually think of sidewalks next to a road, but these are walkways that are going in between the buildings. And they'll probably be some kind of permeable surface to soften that landscape, not a concrete sidewalk or a walkway. But basically so folks can come out their back doors and have a passage out instead of having to come out in the front where there may be cars parked periodically. Just to give a little bit a different route for people to have safe passage for the sidewalks and other parts of the property.
So would you prevent people from, say, putting their backpack or furniture out there? So that it doesn't become just open space where people can store things and then you can't get down there?
We haven't really contemplated what could or could not be used, but there is a small space back there whether you can put a grill or a patio set. I don't know if it's gonna be ample room for that, but it is a green space that is gonna be dedicated to that unit.
No, what I'm asking though is if the kid, so if you have children at the very end there, and they're trying to navigate up to the bus stop,
To get through.
to get through, if everybody's storing all their stuff outside the unit, then you can't get through.
No, it would have to be conditioned as part of the homeowners association that area would have to remain open. And yeah, you can't put things on that walkway. Yes.
So Joe, what's the plan for snow?
So we have opened up a little bit of area over here, maybe able to stockpile some snow, but we've talked to the town, the DPW department. They're not gonna take any responsibility, so, we were gonna have to come up with a plan to remove snow from the site if there's any substantial, snowfall.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have a little bit of here and there where you can push snow around the site, but by and large, there's not a lot of room. Like I said, you could stockpile it, if you say using some of the open space, but you don't want to take away that, obviously, for recreational purposes, it's fine out the snow. Although if there's a snowbank there, I'm sure it will turn into a slide for them.
Yeah, downstream effect of that, is if you don't have plan to move the snow somewhere, we need emergency vehicles of that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, we acknowledge that there needs to be a very robust, snow plowing and removal program, plan in place, and it's gonna have to be abided by, because if you got mounds of snow, there's an emergency, that's not a good situation.
Any other questions, comments?
Chief, any change on the garbage removal? And that is still per unit?
It's still the plan.
And that, when they're putting their garbage out, that goes out, not on the roadway, it goes out
We'll have to go out in front of their units for pickup.
just in front of you. And then the space that parallel parking that you talked about is in front of their.
Yeah, that would be like a guest space, if you ever had a guest come, that's an extra space that someone could park in front of the garage.
What is that distance again? Is that enough to get a car in off the roadway?
8 feet. So with a total of, I think it was 36, so that gives you 8 on one side, 8 on the other, and then a 16-foot travel lane in between for vehicles to get by.
So none of the cars will be actually on the roadway, they'll just be on their personal property.
They'll keep it on the apron. Now, I mean, it's all paved here, so I wouldn't call it personal property. It's going to be common space, but they'll be able to park a car just like any other parking space, guest parking, except they can only park obviously in front of their units once they have permission from someone else to park there in front of someone else's unit.
So it
So
will be obvious to the person parking the delineation between the stamped concrete and the road.
right, we'll delineate that with stamped asphalt, and we can put it in a different color, so there's a visual cue for people to use that apron if they want to. We see those as temporary. Every unit will have the prerequisite two. It's just this is guest parking.
And first of all, I had an opportunity to go talk to the fire chief, to kind of go over some of the things that you were talking about, the concerns that come up with his concerns. I want to thank you for the time that you spent with him and all the changes that you made that he needed in line. And also I appreciate the fact that you recognize our concerns from before, and you're making some changes. I do have a huge concern about the snow, because we have those concerns on our roadways that we have to deal with during every snowstorm. We have ways to get the snow out of there, throughout town, and we still have our little bit of
We
issues.
still have problems.
That's a big concern. The other thing is the fire chief explained to me that those are all going to be fire lanes, that there will be no parking on the roadway itself. And you understand that?
Yeah, we have identified that we can get a fire truck in and out of the site and navigating around. Some of these units will not be able to have a guest parking space in front of their building. Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to. As such, we'll put in a fire lane that says no parking, or it'll be a different color designation so that people don't park there with signage, whatever we need to do.
I just, again, that snow comes, I just, whatever the control is behind those units with, again, comment that was made before, that if things are piling up or whatnot back there, you have snow, the access that comes into the back, I don't know what that association's doing to keep that clear. And then the snow itself, and again, that was a concern with the fire chief, it's a concern with me, what is that plan to get it out of there? So that was a concern. And then on the road itself, if you do have anything that's obstructing a light snow or something, what is if it's all fire lanes, people have to get up on that curtain that you're talking about in front of the garage, not touching the roadway. Those are just concerns.
If those can be articulated, we can address those.
And then speaking to the fire chief too, and if you can clarify with him, he was talking about the units, but we're having trouble seeing it on the map, the actual numbers. I believe what he was referring to is unit 92 through 102. There's still some concerns about getting access to the back, because some of the changes we made were allowing the ladder truck to get in there, extend the ladder, be able to get into the back. We're talking about 72 feet, and I believe he was referring to 92 through 102.
Okay.
I would like just to see some clarification with the fire department that concern has been,
Okay.
You've made some type of, you speak to them, get that done, and I don't know what the answer is to the snow.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll revisit with Kevin, make sure all is good, because we do have to resubmit these plans, and they can come back to you. By and large, like I said, that this layout's not gonna change, so I don't know if anything's gonna be materially changed that's gonna impact your comments, besides addressing maybe them moving forward. But we will resubmit once we have a full site civil package back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We can get you a copy of those plans and address those comments.
If you have a significant snow this fall, or even a decent snowfall, and it's on a night that's garbage night, and you have an extended period of time it's gonna take, because you're gonna have to remove the snow from the property. So now you're not only just, we have plows that come through, plow the snow out and clear the roadway. Now you have to take it off site. So what does that entail? How long does it entail? So now we have garbage night, a couple parking problems, we have the snow. What do we do with, God forbid, that's the night to have that emergency? Those were my concerns come up. My concerns come up with the walkways in the back. What is the control after it's done? But we also have those same concerns in normal sidewalks, that people are not taking care of their normal sidewalks. So totally understand that. But once it's released, what's in place to assure that? Because it's not a sidewalk, it's a gravel area that's gonna deteriorate over time. What's defined as a walkway is no longer gonna be a walkway after a period of time, because, it's not a walkway, it's not a sidewalk. So I'm looking 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Those are the types of things that are still up.
I think,
For safety.
I can't speak for my client, but in our experience, having very descriptive and detailed bylaws of what needs to take place, and unfortunately, this is going to be a private development here, and they need to have to take some responsibility for policing themselves. I've worked with homeowners associations before, I've owned property in them. This one's compounded because of the density. We do realize that. So it's very important that we have those in place. So if that's something that this commission wants to see, we'd be happy to provide it at some point.
Now, sir, these are condominiums, or are these home ownership?
Gene can speak to the ownership, if you'd like, Gene.
These are individual homes. There's going to be about 31 affordable housing units. The rest will be market value. The affordables will sell for about $191 each. These will be fee simple whenever we sell them. So everybody's going to own each unit, and there'll be an association amongst them, and they'll vote out, and they'll be responsible for taking care of the monthly maintenance and everything else.
And just one last question on the garages, the dimensions of the garages can you take an SUV in the garage? I was concerned that was brought up.
Yeah, that's a 16 by 8, which is a standard size double garage door. That's a standard size door. We put them in our houses in Fairfield, and it's a standard size for a double car. Now today, you have people with ladder racks or stuff, those probably will not fit in there.
Yeah, that's,
Average
just,
SUV
yeah,
will fit.
perfect, thank you very much.
I think again, my question is, are you gonna have again homeowner association rules about mandating that they actually use that garage and not just use it for, storage
Well,
space, because a lot of folks do
Yeah,
that.
any homeowners docks,
Mhm.
doesn't have two-car garage. You can't mandate anybody to use the garage. Some people probably don't have, like one car, two cars, who knows? But yeah, garage available to them, and that's most likely they're gonna use that garage to park their vehicles.
I would say that if they have two vehicles, they need to park them in the garage because that's their designated space.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what you're saying?
I think that's even beyond the bylaw thing. That's gonna be a P and Z. That's gonna be a planning commission because our parking is designated in the garage, same like any other project.
Right, and your ratio that you need to meet is based on the utilization of those units.
Now, if you don't have another car, sure, you can fill the
Right,
garage.
yeah,
with
then you
it.
could do
Then you fill the garage with however you proceed, but we don't have enough parking on site for someone for anyone to use it, because those spaces the only spaces that are designated for outside parking are the ones for the B-type units. These are all guest spaces. So, no, you can't fill your house with stuff and then try to park your car outside. Those are for golf guests.
What was that what you meant? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
No, again, I appreciate the fact that you listened last night where our concerns were, and I see kids getting to get out there now. That's, so thank you for that. And hopefully we can figure a solution on the,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And with the snow, it's anything over 2 inches, we're gonna stockpile, and then we're dealing with it now, we engineer right now to determine if we stockpile some of it back here in a safe location. And that's what we're working on right now.
If we can keep it on site, use some equipment to keep it on site, that's preferable because we want to let it melt, go into the stormwater system. It's a bigger issue of stormwater management. If we have to take it off site, we got to find an appropriate place
Yeah,
for
not
it.
only that, it's the time. It's that, how long do we have it where it's not accessible because it's snow and we're in a climate that snows and when you have a bad winter, that becomes a concern. We do have it when we've been out in many scenes where the fire trucks are trying to access, we have areas, it's not being attended to, and it becomes difficult, especially in a congested area. So, we appreciate the fact that you're looking into that.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Thank you for coming in again, Sergeant. Appreciate it. I think we're moving along to zoning with our comments that we'd like to have a more formalized snow plan.
Yes.
And you formalize the garbage removal and how that's actually gonna work. And also that a clarification from the fire department on that.
Yep.
Back end sheet. Okay.
Sounds good.
92, correct?
What's that?
That was row 92?
So it looked like it was 92 to 102 when the chief and I spoke. And again, it was difficult to see the numbers. He gave me different numbers when I went over it again. I just need you to confirm with him where he had that concern. I believe it was these right here. Because and we spoke about that last meeting, how it was like 92.
Yeah. And if we need to speak with you and Chief Burns together, we can do that.
No, absolutely. So he was actually out of the office. It was difficult for me to get an extended period of time with him. We were able to meet quickly with him. But again, he went over with me all the changes that had been made prior to, so which was good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
The Isham Street proposal, Mr. DeBarros.
My name is David Ryan. I live at 8 Bay Street, Mystic, Connecticut, with my wife Lisa and daughter Isabel. I thank you for the time here, and we submitted for the second time a proposal that really represents close to 2 years of work by our neighborhood group to come up with a solution to the ever-increasing traffic on 27, which we're all aware of. And as a result of the cut-through traffic from Richmond Street to Main Street to downtown. And it really creates a significant safety issue, not only for the traffic, but also for the pedestrians. We envision, as time goes on, that we're gonna see more pedestrian traffic coming from the seaport, from the rowing center, and coming through downtown and being attracted into the seaport. We really support the effort to make it a more safe environment for pedestrians. We support what the Seaport is doing with their pocket park on Isham Street ultimately. We support the cultural art activities that are looking to target these areas for different events. We look to support continuing the Mystic Art Festival, which is just a great event that showcases the nature of a nice pedestrian walk-through. I think the difference between when we last submitted and now is we've got the majority of support of the neighbors for this proposal. We've got the support of the Seaport and its president. We have letters of support from the former police chief when we actually was the full chief. But we really think this is a reasonable proposal to enhance the safety for both pedestrians and vehicles on this cut-through street. And I'll turn it over to Rod now to go a little bit more detail.
Thank you.
Hi, Bob Ramirez, 2 Bay Street. I think pretty much summed up what we're looking for. I wanted to, when we were here last time, there were some questions of what we were doing and was it necessary. And I'm here tonight to hopefully show you graphically what we're dealing with on Bay Street, because you don't often see it. You drive down Bay Street, the chiefs come down, looked at Bay Street, and it's random what happens down there, but it's consistent and it's increasing all the time. So if you bear with me a little bit, I'm not a PowerPoint presenter, I'm kind of old-fashioned here. I'm going to try to show you what we're dealing with, particularly in our summer season, our shoulder seasons, and basically all year long, which is more difficult to see in periods like today, a cold day, there's not a lot of traffic on the street. You come down and say, Bay Street's a very tranquil, wonderful street. What are these people in Bay Street complaining about? Are these just these people that have this street, they just want to complain all the time? No, we're not. We're looking to enhance the safety of our neighborhood for the people that live here, for the people that come here and visit us, and for the traffic that is on our street. We know that the traffic in Mystic, particularly in the downtown areas, has increased dramatically over the last 3 to 5 years. I've been living on Bay Street for just 5 years, and I've seen an enormous change in the volume of traffic, both vehicular and pedestrian, particularly pedestrian. And we can only look to the future to say to see that is going to continue to increase. We have the Seaport putting in a hotel. There's going to be more residents, more people visiting up at the Seaport. The boathouse next to it, that's going to be a park. It's going to bring more people down into that area. And those people generally come down to the downtown. So when they come downtown, that pedestrian flow, which is increasing every year, comes down here, and a good portion of it comes down Mission Street and down Bay Street to get to the downtown. So what we have basically, I'm going to try to illustrate what we have an open street like this, like you see often coming down there, particularly in the winter months. We don't really have a problem. But what starts to happen is, particularly on weekends, in the summer and the shorter seasons, almost every day, we start getting cars parked in here. Okay, so we have a series of cars that come parked here, and basically there could be 2 or 3 here. More often in the summer months and on weekends, even this time of year, it's all parked there. There's cars here. These are the parking spaces that get occupied all the way down the street. Here, all the way down, as many as they can crowd in until we have a little bit of no parking right on that corner. So what happens when that happens? We no longer have a 2-way street. We have a very narrow street here on Bay Street. And even when there are cars there, it's a tight squeeze to get 2 cars by, but you can. But when we have this, now we have a 1-way street. Now, so the neighbors have been dealing with this a long time, looking at it, a lot of this out. Maybe we want to change Bay Street into a one-way street then, because they have about volume of, or more than half that we observe, comes this way into town more than going out of town. But even if it was 50-50, you get a lot of traffic here, a lot of traffic here. If we're a one-way street, we get into what we call collision points. And collision points are when we have an intersection of cars coming in from several different directions, coming into an area like this, and like this. So we have three major collision points on the street. So what basically happens is, say a car's coming down here, and I have all these pins I'm going to use, but I think I'll just use a pen, it seems to be easier. So we've got cars coming in very frequently on Home Street coming in this direction. Now, if these cars are to turn into this direction, which I do every day going in and out of my house, or even from this direction coming in here. Once they've made this corner, particularly if there's a car parked here, I can't, or nobody can see what's going on further up the street. So you just randomly pull them, expecting to go to your destination. Then we also have cars coming in. We also have cars coming in from this direction, down here. And they come and they come this way. So what happens? A guy will come here, stop at the stop sign. He's looking down the street, there's 2 blocks. He's not really thinking about what's happening here. It may be clear when he starts his direction here. But once he comes down here and the car comes this way, eventually we have a head-on situation. Where do you go? You only have one lane. So you have cars coming down here in this direction, cars coming down here in this direction. You get to a standpoint. I call those choke points. I deal with that all the time. Now, if there's not all cars parked here, you can maybe swing into an open space there, work your way around, but often there is, and you can't. And you get to the standstill where the 2 cars are facing each other, and you look, well, do you back up or do I back up? Who's going to back up? You're asking this car to back up, back onto Hope Street with oncoming traffic. You've got a very dangerous situation. I've had to do that on numerous occasions where I've come around the corner, somebody's come down here, they're not going to back up all the way down to Oak Street and turn. Or maybe they'll come into one of these driveways if they think about it, but they're just going to stand there and stare at you. So, I being closer to here, will back up, back onto the street. Very dangerous situation. If a car is coming from the other direction, it has to back up. Again, a very dangerous situation. So, yeah, great. If we could make this all one way, that would be good. Okay, traffic would flow. But talking to the fire chief, can't do that. He needs access for safety vehicles to get into the south gate of the seaport and back. Fire equipment and safety equipment can't make this corner. So they have to have an in and they have to have an out. So that kind of diminishes the prospect of possibly having a one-way street. So what do we do with this situation? We have this situation here, we have the same thing when a car comes this way, or here, we have it there, and we have it here. So what do we do? Well, if there was some way to eliminate most of this traffic coming this way, we would have a lot less congestion on the street. So what can we do? We have Isham Street. If we make Isham Street one way going in this direction, and that's what our proposal is asking for, we've eliminated probably half of the cars that are coming down and creating this situation and this congestion. It just seemed to be a no-brainer for us, okay? Now, there's been a couple objections to this at the last meeting, and one of the objections was, well, if we make this one way, we are hindering access to this ramp here, which is a public access ramp for paddleboards and canoes and kayaks. But we really haven't. In fact, by having two-way traffic to that ramp, we can create another congestion situation. You're coming down here, so the cars park in here, and these are mostly used by cars using that ramp and some of the employees of the seaport. This is all parking in here. But there may be a space available. So if a car is coming in from here to go kayaking, and a car is coming from this direction to go kayaking, they often stop right here, they back up, unload their gear, and they try to find these spots. But you have cars parked here, it's narrow. You can't get 2 cars by here. But these guys are looking for parking spaces, these guys are looking for parking spaces, and you run into another congestion point. So the argument that we're going to diminish access to that ramp is really unfounded because you still can get to that ramp coming down Bay Street in this direction. So it doesn't hinder it. In fact, it clears up some of the congestion that is created by having traffic coming from both directions, both trying to unload their gear and compete for these parking spaces. The other objection that we heard was that, oh, well, if we close down this to one-way traffic going out, then all this traffic that was using that formerly will come down and use Oak Street instead. That might happen. Some people might. But if you drive, and I drive here all the time because I live right here. If you're coming down this Green Milano, Route 26, you get a sight line. First of all, this is a very established cut-through road already. But you get a sight line all the way back here that there's an alternative. You're going to start seeing this road as you're pulling up here. You're seeing congestion on 27, and you say, oh, I'm just going to, you see this? I'm just going to take that because I know that'll get me down. Okay? So maybe some of that traffic will come down Oak Street instead. They know it's even there. But when you come down Oak Street, when you come down Route 27, and you're looking down here, you don't get that sight line. You have a very narrow short line. There's some shrubbery in here and so forth. You come, by the time you notice Oak Street, you are already traveling here. And if there's any cars parked on Oak Street, which they are on one side, you look down there, it's not an inviting street. It looks more like a driveway than road, unlike Issue Street, that is a very attractive alternative to come down. You come here, you look down there, you're probably not even going to see it until you're here and you're already high. So maybe there's going to be some increased traffic on Oak Street for the diehards that need to have that cut through. I don't think that it's going to be a problem. I think the potential for that is slim. And if it did happen, you know, if it became a real big problem, we could do something about that at that time. But to not do this, to alleviate the congestion today for a problem that we have today, in fear that it may create a bigger problem here, which I don't really think, please drive down here and look at it coming onto Oak Street. It's not very visible. So I don't think it's going to get the traffic flow that Issue Street currently gets. Then I started looking, well, what other negative aspects can there be? We've all talked about it. I just can't see it. We're going to keep traffic moving. Traffic still has the ability to get out here. People still have the ability to enjoy the beautiful street that we have. People come by here and stop, take pictures all the time. Cars come and sit and take pictures. This is probably one of the most scenic spots in all of Misfit on the Stones inside. And we enjoy it. We like the pedestrians to enjoy it. In fact, the pedestrians aren't a problem. The other problem is the pedestrians. So with all this congestion going in, you've got one-way street here, basically. Cars here nowhere to go. Now start putting groups of pedestrians in here, which is all the time. You know, people are coming, this is the pedestrian walkway. They walk in ones, twos, families. You know, you start putting all these factors in here on these locations. Now you've got even more of a mess. You got to navigate around the pedestrians. You got to hopefully try to find an open parking space to get into when the cars come together. A lot of times that is not available. So what do? You know, we have pictures in our package that show, you know, on a congested day. And it's a night, you see kids, their heads are right here. There's a truck driver, the same height as their heads. How could that be a good situation? And that truck is trying to go down here. There's another one behind it that's trying to weave into a spot or into a driveway to get away from it. Pedestrians are trying to get out of the way of the traffic. They're also trying to find places to refuge. It's just not a good situation. It's only getting worse. So I think this is a very viable proposition. I think it's very easy to accomplish. I don't think you need to have a lot of road studies or traffic engineering studies on this situation. It costs a lot of money. The neighbors that all live here, who are all mostly, pretty much everybody here is in support of this and signed on the petition. They're the ones that live there all the time. And I understand that when you send someone, the chief comes down and looks and he says, well, I was down there, I only saw one person run a stop sign, one person speed. It didn't seem to be too much of a problem. At that point, it wasn't. But for the people who live there 24/7, we see it 24/7. And it is a problem. And it may be random. It may be at this time of year.
That's addressing the concerns of speed, and that's addressing concerns of.
Yeah, and now we can't do anything about that.
That's what we're
Yeah.
addressing and talking about.
Yes, and we know we can't change human nature. People speed in every road, all throughout the town. People run stop signs everywhere we live. We can't stop that. So the main issue here is the congestion, you know. And how can we reduce the congestion that's increasing dramatically every year? And we expect to continue. How can we address it today before it gets even worse? And I just think this is a great proposal to do that. It's something we can try. If we do have enormous negative impacts from it, we take it away. It's as simple as putting up a sign and taking down the sign. It doesn't require a whole lot of work. We saw that on Cottrell Street when we changed. I worked with Jason Vincent, and he said, "No, we don't need a whole lot of space. Let's just do it. We got to paint some lines on the road. Let's do it. If it doesn't work, we reverse it." Same thing is even more simply to reverse on this. So I think what we're asking for is a temporary situation where we turn the traffic going one way on Isham Street. Let's give it a year. Let's see if it reduces congestion and craziness, particularly during our season down here. And if it doesn't, or if it's worse, we can address it at the time. I'd rather be proactive than reactive. And basically that's our proposal. I'm just hoping that we can get some understanding, hopefully, that there is a situation down there. It's constant, it's all year long, and I'd like to deal with it in the winter time when we can make that transition without the burden of trying to do this in the middle of summer. We can get it instituted now, that we'll be more prepared with it when the summer comes, and hopefully we can get some relief to this.
Good, thank you, Rob.
I've answered any questions?
Sure. Coming off of 27, if the traffic is backed up, GPS, I believe, brings them down to Isham.
Yes, it does.
What is, first of all, once, if that were one way, will GPS drive them down Oak Street? Because I know that you mentioned that the sightlights out there, most people would miss it if they're going down 27. But if GPS is telling them they can take a right there, won't GPS push people down Oak?
Yeah, it may, but not everybody is driving with their GPS. You know, a lot of people just drive on instincts. I don't know. But there are those apps that will, people are on that will tell you there's congestion here, head down here. Okay.
A lot of the cut-through traffic too is local folks too. Yes. I mean, you take a Monday morning, certain times, it's local folks that, know that, not using GPS.
And I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of Peter Restaurant, but what is the plan there in the south entrance for additional parking down there?
So from what I understand, talking to Peter, and he's very endorses this plan very much, because he says he realizes they're going to generate a lot more pedestrian traffic. He wants that pedestrian traffic to have a safe access to our downtown, and he wants to put them down on Isham Street and Bay Street for that pedestrian access, and keep them off 27. His plan is this area right here, at Seaport, is to build a mini park of some sort. And also in that plan, there's some question about taking more of this land here and putting in parking.
Diagonal.
Which would provide more parking spaces for the people that want to use the program will really enhance that also. But that's the plan. I think the town has a copy of that plan. I think Frost, the architect, landscape architect, has proposed that is in the works.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I have one question. On Isham Street today, if I'm correct, it's only parking on one side of the street.
Yes, that's correct. There's only parking here.
If that moves away from being two-way, does that open up more parking?
Yes.
You now park on both sides of the street because
But the diagonal parking would create more
the diagonal
slots.
parking would be at the end. I'm talking about at the beginning, by Greenmanville.
Right.
If you're taking a road that's two-way,
Right.
and you're making it one way, you've taken away one traffic lane. Does that open up?
It may. It is tight
It
here.
wouldn't because of the driveways to the houses.
Yeah, there's a driveway here. So if there could be no parking here or here, maybe you could have some parking there, maybe here. But Isham Street also isn't that wide either. Often when I come out here, often the cars can't come in. There's only parked here, and there's a car parked there, and it's tight. You might be able to squeeze in, but it's intimidating. Same thing happens down here on Bay Street. So Bay Street is a little bit wider here, and even when the cars are parked here, like encroaching on this land here, they can squeeze by each other. then what seems to happen that I've observed is as you come down here and it gets narrower, it's hard to squeeze again. Now they're forced onto this grass area, and that's always a problem. It's deteriorating the seawall, and there just isn't, but people, you'll be amazed. Some people are so determined, you know, and you look at a space and say, they're not coming down here, are they? Yeah, they are. And you can get out of the way. I've had my hips brushed on several occasions when I've been working over here. You know, not hit, but just come by me. And it's very scary. I have grandchildren, and I'm very concerned about their safety, and pets. And
My second question is anybody here from Oak Street?
you know, people that have access to.
What's the question?
No, are there any from Oak Street? I'm here from Oak Street. Not Oak Street. Right, so I'm asking, is there anybody in the room here who lives on Oak Street?
I've had calls of people that it was quick, they thought this was taken care of, and they didn't have enough, they can't come, it's too close.
So I'm just asking if anybody here is from Oak Street and is agreeing with what you said, that they won't mind if people come down there and there won't be as many.
We have this person here on the corner who has their drive on Oak Street, who's here tonight. This person has signed our petition, they live on Oak Street.
Petition.
I mean, issues, okay, on Oak Street, this person here signed our petition. This person here has access to it, he signed on the petition, his driveway is there. This person in this property, his driveway is here also, so his access, all these accesses are on Oak Street, and these all have signed on the petition.
Rod, if I can just raise that we've had conversations with some of the Oak Street residents after that first meeting was held. So they signed the proposal, petition, before the first meeting was held. Didn't have an opportunity to participate, and once again, because they didn't have enough notice, we're here tonight. So we've had other conversations, I just want to make sure I'm represented.
And I think, I mean, for me, I lived for probably 15 years on Oak Street. I grew up in that neighborhood. You know, that's my concern, is just that, you know, traffic will kind of move over to Oak Street. And I mean, as a kid there, we had neighborhood kids, you know, you're running across the street back and forth, playing with each other and friends, and just, you know, and my family owns the house at 708 Tyshan Street as well, so my grandfather's over there, so there's a lot of back and forth, so I know it very well.
Yeah. And if they did, it would be a problem. I just don't think there's going to be that great a volume of it in the trees. And if it did, okay, say all the traffic that came down Issue Street now all starts to squeeze down Oak Street. It's much narrower. I mean, visually, you just probably don't want to try to navigate that. But if they did, there are ways to address that. At the end of the street, you could make it a right-hand turn only, so that they end up going back onto Route 27. But that problem isn't here, Jason. You know, and it may not ever serve to be a big problem. Will some? I'm sure. Some will. But like I said, I invite you just to drive down there. And if you're local, and you know, now I can see down there, you're going to have to navigate in the drive, so it's not a clean space like this. And if you're not a local, and you're just looking, you're not even going to notice Oak Street before you're passing.
Right, but the non-locals are using ways.
You know what the locals do.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing? Great presentation, by the way, great presentation. But if you do have one way, which I think is a great idea, by the way, right? Wouldn't they update navigation? So if you're coming in domestic and it says you want to go into downtown, so if you navigate down Oak Street, it's going to tell you that you can't get access. It's going to whip you around, right?
No, it's
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oak Street to Bay Street.
Right, to the left.
Yeah, but it's going to tell you you're going to get the quickest route. But if they update Bayside and say it's a one way coming out the other way, they won't take you down Oak Street.
But we're not talking about Bay Street.
Yeah, we can't, unfortunately,
okay, sorry.
we can't make Bay Street one way because
Just as a rule of order, we're gonna let Rod complete his presentation.
Okay, sorry.
All right, and let the commissioners have that.
Yeah, that's fine. So, any more questions?
I just wanted to ask, because we didn't talk about, you had noted the pedestrian traffic. Isn't there a sidewalk in
Yes,
the
there
road?
is.
And so when you were saying there's difficulties with the pedestrians for that portion of the road, isn't the solution to simply use the sidewalk?
Well, no.
But it'd be nice if you could get the pedestrians to do that.
Nobody uses
They don't do it.
Excuse me, everybody. Can I just continue and answer the question? Thank you. The situation we have for a sidewalk is we have a sidewalk from here, here, and here. We have no sidewalk up up here, okay? And if you look at the pedestrian, the type of pedestrian traffic that we have on the street, it's families. So it's not just one person, 2%, and these sidewalks are very narrow. They barely fit two people. In front of my house, you have a side step. So the volume of traffic and what the consistency of that pedestrian traffic mostly is. It's 2, 3, strollers, extended families. There's often pies of 5 and 6 walking down the street. There is definitely not enough room on the sidewalks. The limited amount of sidewalk we have for that kind of volume of traffic. If you're a single person, yes. If you have one person, they could come over and walk down here. But that's more rare than the volume of people that we have going down. We usually cruise at 2, 3, 4, so forth with carriages. Plus bicycles.
Robbie, you talked earlier, and I think what we're going to do this evening is to make sure that the residents of Oak and Bishop Street and Bay Street have an opportunity to have notification at our next meeting, and also have the state of Connecticut weigh in on DOT on Route 27 on the proposal, and then we'll have you back on the agenda for the next meeting. Please, so the notices will come out from here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful holiday.
Appreciate it.
Could I make a comment, please? Can we comment on this as residents?
It's open, so what's gonna happen, all the notice is gonna go out for, all the residents to have comment on it, and we'll be able to discuss that for them to make a decision. It was them presenting it and going forward, I mean, it's.
No, it'll be on next month's agenda.
Could I just make a comment? A lot of people came to support it.
798 residents are here.
Just to say that, it's not that we don't want to have that heard, but when you make your comments, it should be with everybody. So what we do in these situations normally is we'll send out, so you're gonna have, just like when you have the, large events and whatnot, we send notice to all the residents, so they know that everybody has an opportunity to talk. So when Rod's presenting this, anybody has a question about it, that's the open time to do that. So we want to let everybody know, you make those comments then, they can make a comment back. We can have an open discussion about it. But right now, I have had one specific call and 2 concerns that we thought this issue was voted on, you guys had it, it was settled. They didn't realize it was coming back up. They want to have opportunity for comment. We just need to make sure, plus I need to make sure with a change from one way that goes on to Route 27, we have big discussions going with DOT all the way down 27. It would be irresponsible for us to not give all the information to the commission. DOT has to have the opportunity to do the same thing that you have an opportunity to do. This isn't to make a decision on, we don't want you to talk. Absolutely. But they make the decision, they need all the information.
Yes. I agree with that 100%, Chief. But these people have come out tonight, they may not be available next month to do this. It'd be a shame not to give them the opportunity to speak now. We should still get all the letters from the people that didn't come here, but to deny these people an opportunity to speak when they've come here specifically tonight, taking their time to come here, you'll at least get some information from some of the people. You certainly have the opportunity to reach out to the people that aren't here tonight and get their commentary also. But to ask these people to come back a second time when they're already sitting here, I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
I guess we're not going to get a chance to speak.
If it's part of your presentation, it's going to be part of your presentation.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be.
That's not the question. If it's part of your presentation, then that's different.
Thank you.
My name is Bob Krasinski. I live at 5 Bay Street, and I've been a resident there for 47 years. There's only one person in the neighborhood that has more
seniority than I have, and it's Fred. So, I'm happy to be able to address you people. I thank you. I thank you for the members of the police department. And I would simply say that I am very much in favor of this proposal. I'm in favor of it because of safety reasons, safety for the residents, safety for the tourists, safety for the rest of the town's people. And I would urge you to approve our proposal and do it soon, because I think we have a very dangerous situation on Bay Street and our adjacent streets, Isham and Oak. Thank you.
I'm the senior resident of Bay Street. I've been there for 54 years. He's a newcomer. I just have a couple of quick points to add to the perspective on the Bay Street situation, and I'll be fairly brief. And it relates to the volume of traffic and the impact that has. There's a safety issue, and this is an incident that happened June 29th, where a woman ran into my planting strip, destroyed stuff that hasn't yet been repaired, and a real pain. But it's a really busy time. It's just the volume of traffic, you're going to have incidents like this statistically. The other thing is, Bay Street was created in 1902, basically to provide access to the lots that were being created by the developer. And it was stipulated that Bay Street was created using fill from the fronts of those yards. Well, the issue there is what's underneath the topsoil is sand. The foundation for Bay Street is sand. We know that, those of us who have utilities go out to our docks. And that's a really poor foundation for a road. The foundation for my driveway is substantially more robust than the foundation for Bay Street. And the problem you have with the volume of traffic is, as Rod has mentioned, people do try to squeeze by and make it a two-way street when there's parked cars, and they go on that area right up to the fence. They do it in front of Bob's property, they do it in front of the number 1 Bay Street, which is what you're looking at there. Now, what we did, my neighbor and I, Rod's predecessor, is we had docks that were constructed 34 years ago, and we had to go through quite a bit of pain to get the DEP to approve the seawall outside the old 1902 seawall, and that was to shore up the road. And they agreed only because we were shoring up the road that needed to be shored up. We had sinkholes there. You're probably aware of the problem on Elm Street with the sinkholes they've had there. So it's the same issue. All I've got to say is that the volume of traffic is an issue structurally. Just something to add to your perspective. Of course, I support the proposal to do one way to minimize the density of traffic in the city. And I've also been brushed by cars when I've been weeding that planting strip. Not hit, but when somebody's that close and they swipe you, it's kind of concerning. Okay? It happens. Thank you.
Thanks. Sir, what's your name, sir?
Fred Aller.
Thank you.
Number 3 Bay Street.
I'll be brief. My name is Jerry Tempe, 11-7 Bay Street. I think there is a problem. I think the proposal, I signed the proposal. I think the proposal does most part of the problem and goes to reduce some of the risk. So I'm in favor.
Hi, David Pennick, and my wife here is along 9 Bay Street, so we're at the corner of Bay and Isham. And also, just to note, Bob is also at the corner of Bay and Oak. So his driveway is on Oak, my driveway is on Isham. And I see this problem continuously, so I'm definitely a proponent of it. We've got the kayak ramp there, a lot of pedestrians walking, a lot of people walking dogs. So it's a big concern, and we see it continuously for the corner. So, yep, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Is there room from there?
Yes.
You will do first. I'm Kelly from 7 Nation. I wrote a prepared statement because we just found out about this on Monday. First, I just want to say, I think it's amazing that we have 9 residents on Bay Street, and there's a lot of passion about this. So my concern, I think I represent my husband here as well, is just I heard in May and I hear a lot now conjecturing about both the degree of the issue and the degree to which this proposal would solve the issue presented. So all that, as an resident of Isham Street, that we are hoping is that there can be a little bit more of a thoughtful process around both engaging the rest of the community in this, including Oak Street, Isham Street, potentially the neighbors on Greenmanville. I would want to know what the right, obviously we would have Chief is nodding, but what the right degree of community engagement is here in this proposal. And then just that there's a thoughtful approach rather than trial periods.
Do you have suggestions of where you think that we should be putting notice out for people in that area to be able to have comment?
I wouldn't go so far. I am a newcomer. I'm 3 years in. I don't want to. I feel like I would be overstepping.
Right now, we're looking at Isham. We're looking at.
I would wonder about the residents on Greenmanville there, right? This is a high traffic.
Put notice out, and then give them an opportunity to come to the next meeting. And again, we need to give that perspective, I believe, to the commission statement made determination. The other thing, again, 27, because we have so many things that are going on in 27, and 27 is a state highway. I think it's irresponsible for us not to notify DOT and give them the opportunity on 27.
That's it for me. So, thank you.
I wasn't going to speak, but I feel that one of the commissioners mentioned that he lived on Oak Street and he had this wonderful neighborhood growing up. That's great on Oak Street. On Bay Street, we can't do that. We can't run out into the street. We are constantly being bombarded with cars coming down the street. We have to look both ways as if we're on a state highway because that road is primarily used as a cut through. There isn't hardly the origin or the destination of the cars coming on this street for Bay Street. And so if we can figure out a way to just eliminate even half the traffic, I think that would be a good solution. That's all I'm looking for.
Thank you.
And Lynn Schroeder, also 7 Bay Street. The one thing I'd like to say, of course, it makes sense to expand maybe the footprint of people that we're going to get feedback from, but you do have to think about who's really living with and experiencing it. You might get feedback from people on Greenmanville Avenue who will feel inconvenienced by not having their cut through, but is inconvenience, does that rise to the same level of safety? So you might get strong feelings from people on Greenmanville, but I think you have to step back and think about, the bigger issue of safety. Thank you.
I actually own property on 35 Greenmanville Avenue. I'm right at the corner of Isham. I'm totally with you guys. I see the chaos there at the corner. But that's liberal land. I don't know if the seaport, if it's been approved for a park yet. Not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked them if I can get my 6 or 8 cars because I've no access to my backyard. But I'm trying to get something different. But I'm trying to get a right of way to go across that little sliver, the way I can get 6 cars off the road. But it's a really busy corner, and I get where they're coming from. It's the speed around that corner there. I'm right there. I see it. So I'm totally in favor of you guys. So I'm agreement with that idea. So.
Anyone else want to speak to the proposal? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're going to have to tell us a one-way, and to do that, it has to be on a state road, so DOT has to say, you can put those signs out there. So they have to have that said also, you can say, yes, we're gonna turn it, DOT, if DOT come back, and you're not putting those signs out. We control that. And that's a problem also, that's why we need to know.
Also,
One of the reasons.
so we could say it's one way, but DOT.
And say you're not putting.
You can't put a sign that says this is one way.
Yeah, and what you're doing too is DOT's doing the lighting project at 95 and 27, DOT's doing a separate lighting project for the Seaport. You have traffic studies and all the information that's been presented for approvals of the park, and approvals of the addition to the Seaport, approvals of the hotel, approvals of hotel down in, and none of them have any of those plans or any of that information, a change of a one way. They have to have an understanding. I don't know if it affects it or it doesn't, but if we were to make that change, DOT needs to be aware, anybody who's making approvals on these projects on Route 27 should be aware that you're going to make that change. And maybe they say, no, it has no effect at all, maybe they say it does, but they should be aware. And we'll put a notice out, to DOT, give them an opportunity to weigh in. And the project managers of each project should be aware also, we'll try to get out.
One question I had was, in these situations where it's two-way traffic, right? And it's gonna turn obviously to a one-way street, what sort of signage that would be used to alert people, because if they go down too far, right? Then they're gonna be in a situation where they have to, oh, I guess it's not that way, but.
But the other thing you're gonna have to consider is on Bay Street, what Rod mentioned a great deal of is that because of the parking on the street, it becomes a safety issue.
Right.
So I don't think you can, I think you need to consider what, if anything, are you changing on parking on Bay Street?
Mm-hmm.
Are you changing the parking on Bay Street? Because if we're bringing that up as a concern of safety, because of pedestrians, and we're not doing any additional sidewalks, and it is a concern, well, that might be something you have to address also. Do you allow all the parking that's down there? Because if you're saying you can't get cars either way and they're getting stuck, like because if you're going down to the borough, and as you travel down to the borough on Water Street, they give you areas to pull over into, and take parking away, give you areas to pull into, to allow people to go by. You have to look at all that, and that might be something others bring up and discuss at that meeting, but I think you need to look at parking along with that, because it almost.
That's what's tough, it's just not having kind of a data-driven decision, it's sort of which is the right solution for that.
And the data has been put together for all those projects along 27, and maybe that's something we can do.
Is he good? You here to speak on the roundabout concept? All right.
Thanks for waiting.
I appreciate it.
I'm a one-stop shop, I don't have an audience. And it's continuing the theme of traffic and safety, which seems to be recurring theme this evening. My name is Ben Philrick, PHILBRICK, resident of 43 Wilcox Road for 43 years. In the time I've spent, I think we can all agree, the growth of the town has exploded, and so has traffic. And the cars seem to be elevated at the same time. And with that, lack of following traffic signs seems to be the being used, maybe beginning before that. It's really rolling through stop signs and just driving seems to be the manual driving. So my idea, I'm a big proponent of roundabouts, and I spoke to a civil engineer about it. And my first idea was at Cherry Brown Road and Cooper Boulevard, which is also an awkward intersection. But he looked at it and said there's just not enough room and not a lot of wetlands. And so I said, okay, how about Route 1 and Middle Green Street? So there is a lot of state property along there. They have a little community parking lot, and they go right up to the facilities of Packard property and right up to the cemetery. And so we kept thinking about it, and I think it could work. And so we talked to Chuck Key, and I approached Danielle Keith-Brown, and she said, well, let's talk to the best thing who's over you. Councilor Robert. Yes. And we put Kate LaPam there, and she said, well, that's a great idea, but you gotta follow the steps of procedure. And we can't produce or propose this as citizens agreements to go to the local traffic authority, police commission. We have to get on board with it and recommend further study about it. So I just did a little homework. I don't know if you saw my email, if it went through the email. I can read all the bullet points. The main one is when you have a roundabout, traffic just keeps flowing. When you do have roundabout anxiety, it is known that people take a year or two to get used to a roundabout and to go or not go, and how you yield and how you go through. But once you've been through a couple, it goes quite easy. Today I was over on Jefferson Avenue by Jewel High School. There's a brand new one there. It's pretty tight, but people are zipping right around it like they know what they're doing. So it does slow your speed as you approach the intersection. It has what I've now realized the American Society of Civil Engineers calls beat the light syndrome. And when you see that yellow light, you step on it. I was brought up when I learned how to drive. When you see a yellow light, you slow down and try to take the middle. Nowadays, if somebody tries to zip through as fast as they possibly can. One other benefit of roundabout is it keeps working when there is a power outage, which seems to happen at intersection relatively frequently. And not when you would need a policeman to help out with traffic when you outage. Traffic flows more efficiently because you're not stopping and starting. And it just more traffic can pass through in less time. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety says roundabouts are a safe alternative to traffic signals and stop signs. And secondly, the design features that encourage drivers to slow down are key to optimizing roundabout safety. So what I'm proposing is that you can bear with another meeting and bring in Chuck Sheehan, and he has drawn up a very detailed proposal for that intersection. And then I think he is much more of an expert and has a technological background about how the citizens are concerned about how traffic flows there. The other problem I find if you're traveling north on North Main Street, the little sign says, move forward, trip right. So you have to move right up. And now you're almost to the +point line. And Route 1 is right there. And when the tractor trailer comes by, I almost have to put it in reverse, let that tractor trailer come by. It's a crazy situation. So minimally, I'd love to fix that. Let's move the trip trailer, when it was in the pavement, 6 feet back. So anyway, that was it. I want to answer your questions if you want. Other questions?
If you want to weigh in on roads?
No, we had a brief conversation with him to it. I think all you're looking to do right now is to open the conversation for another meeting to present more information on it. And if you don't have any objections to that.
No, not at all, because you get something like Route 2 and 184, but you need a massive land. It seems to me you need a massive land that you get one effectively.
Due to the volume and the speed coming up to it and what you're looking at, you need much more land. But to your point of Jefferson High School down there, that's a smaller one. But again, it's a really different traffic application.
The graphic that Chuck Sheehan has drawn takes into account the slow speed. There's distance needed to slow 50 miles an hour down.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
All right, item number 7 on our agenda is an approval of minutes for Thursday, November 9th, 2023's regular meeting. I need a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Okay, Chief, you're on.
So as far as it goes with the budget, more, not much difference from the last time we spoke about it. The only concern I had when we're tracking is that next gen, our new RMS system, went through all the training for it, we had a lot of overtime that's involved in that. We were able to budget that in last budget season, and it seems that we're on track. Just under 1% less than that 40% we're on track for the budget itself. So that makes me feel comfortable that way. And budget-wise, with our line items, with school safety projects, and for all the things that we put in there, they're all tracking fine. So I'm comfortable with the budget unless you don't have, anybody have a question about the budget. We still have the 3 in the academy. We're down about 3 weeks in March for the beginning about 3. Not the academy, once again, the academy, we have the field training. We hope to keep all 3 through field training and get them on field training for how long?
Yeah, 12 to 16.
You guys know what I'm So about 12 to 16 weeks, so it's a while to make sure, and we, if we don't have any extensions for it. So we're very happy about that, and we're working very diligently on that last position to fill. One thing to mention is that we're trying to get all the statistics put together, that we have to look the fact of all the construction that's going on, all the departments that are coming online, all the housing that's coming online, the events that are happening, the sizes we are going to have to ask the town for more resources. It has to happen, there's no question it has to happen. This budget season with the commentary, it's going to be presented to the Board of Finance that's coming up. This is what we're looking at, and so they know that we're going to be presenting them with information, and it's going to be based on data that we see. So that's coming on. 2 dispatchers, they just will be starting, and that'll get us up to the amount of the extra dispatcher we're getting from last year's budget, and the dispatcher that hired that stayed for a little amount of time and then left. We have concerns from the school that has been coming up of them want to explore a school resource officer at the high school. That's just been being explored. I can't take another officer from our patrol to do that. And the question comes up, is that come through the budget of schools? Is it come from budget from our budget? Is it come combined? Those are talks that we're having that you should be aware of. Also, some other questions have been coming up, needs of police officers dedicated to other things throughout the town. And again, anything that's brought up, it's not that we don't want to provide needs, we have to provide with entry level first. So you need to be aware that that stuff's going on is happening. Our capital improvement projects, SIP projects, we came up and just presented those. I can hold regulars at any time to let you know that we have all those in place also. So we had an initial meeting to go over that to see where we're at with it, to grade them all. And then the other thing is parking, huge issue. We presented it a couple times, it did pass the vote, but I did hear from everybody just about that came up to me and said it's needed. We need it, but the way we presented it, they wanted a lot of people want to see certain things pulled apart from that so they can vote on them separately. And that was brought up in the public meetings. So we hope to, we've been approached by the first selectman, and then we've been in talks just internally as an administration that has to be addressed. So we're thinking maybe around February to bring something again about parking to the town.
And on the consent agenda, there are 2 letters of thank you letters from the voters with your foundation from Officer Saunders and Discordia from the work that they performed on the request of Commissioner Temple Bates, Lisa Temple Bates, on the April investigation of Snowden Burrows. So thank you very much. And also there's a thank you letter from the Groton Base, and I believe they delivered Thanksgiving meals here, which is great.
Such a great relationship with them, such support.
Okay, item number 10 on the agenda, any motion to adjourn? Second? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.